want to take your game to the next level, you want to be a world champion, take the fighter training stack. Victor Conte's fighter training stack has brought me to the next level. Everything that I take on a daily basis, the fighter training stack is the best thing out right now. Devin Haney, I'm Snack Strong. Get it now, right now.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Marcos Villegas, being joined with the lightweight champion of the WBC, Devin Haney, who's getting geared up for his fight with Yuriorkis Gamboa coming up November 7th on DAZN. Devin, hey, man, it's good to catch up with you and to chat. You've been in the thick of camp, your first camp since your last fight, but also since your shoulder has been completely healed. How's the shoulder and how's been training with this recovery from the shoulder injury?
Oh, the shoulder is great. It's all healed up. I actually forget that I even had shoulder surgery because it feels so much, of the same as my other one. So I'm feeling great. I'm feeling ready, and I can't wait until November 7th.
How much of a difference are you feeling now as opposed to like prior when you had the injury?
Well, as far as like after I had the injury, okay,
Oh,
yeah.
like that fight before and then when you got the surgery.
Yeah, so I didn't have like any problems leading up to the fight or anything like that. That shoulder injury actually happened in the fight. So yeah, but I probably took like two extra months off after I was cleared from the doctor to rest and just recover and let it just heal up all the way because I knew that I wouldn't be fighting for a while. So I just gave my body time to rest and recover. And it feels so good now. It feels like rejuvenated. I feel great.
You're obviously training for a Yuriorkis Gamboa, who has a lot of experience, even though he's a lot older. What'd you make of I guess, the first impressions that people had about this fight?
I feel like a lot of people are looking past Gamboa. They feel like he's just like a journeyman type of opponent. But you can't forget that in his last fight, he gave Tank his toughest fight of his career. He took him 12 rounds. Tank was knocking everybody out in the first 3 rounds, first 4 rounds. He gave him his toughest fight. You cannot forget about that with a torn Achilles. Gamboa doesn't come to lay down, and I know that, and I cannot sleep on him. And that's why I'm training so hard and I'm dedicating myself because I know that he's going to come to fight. Gamboa's the type of opponent that it's either you're going to get him or he's going to get you.
Yeah, I've seen the comments online. A lot of people think that this is going to be an easy fight for you, that you're going to just knock this guy out in 3-4 rounds.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I would love for that to happen, but I cannot sleep on him and just think that I just go in there thinking that it's going to be easy fight. I'll knock him out in the first 3 rounds.
He's a guy that likes to mix it up. He's never been afraid to mix it up. Like when Gamboa fights, he's a gold medalist. Technically he's off the charts, but he's always been a little maybe too brave for his own good because he ends up getting into these firefights that aren't good for him because he's the smaller guy. With that being said, Devin, do you feel that this fight has to end in a knockout, or do you honestly really do see it going 12 rounds?
I don't know how the fight exactly is going to play out. If it's a knockout, of course it would be great. But I want to go in there and I want to look good. I want to swim without getting wet.
Swim without getting wet. R.I.P. Nazim Richardson is one of my favorite sayings. He'd always say, "You don't got to dance to boogie," which to me, that was my favorite one. I've always loved that one from him. So when this fight was announced, Devin, I know a lot of fans were hoping to see you and Gary Russell Jr. I know there was a lot of back and forth between you guys, but why are you fighting Gamboa as opposed to not fighting Gary Russell? Because I know a lot of fans wanted to see that fight.
Because Gary Russell really didn't want the fight. He just was doing a lot of talking, but when the action came, he really didn't want to make the fight happen. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say on it.
I know you guys sent him a term sheet. He went online and social and showed the term sheet and said that he was going to send a term sheet back, that the fight between you guys has to happen before 2021 with his conditions. Did you ever receive that?
No, I never received it.
Wow. Okay. So you never got anything from his camp apart from when you guys sent it?
No.
So then what was all this back and forth then?
That's what I'm saying. That's why we just need to move forward and we can talk about it. about something else because it's nothing there. It's like if it was something there and it was something realistic, I would give you the best interview in the world about it. But in reality, it's nothing there.
Man, I really wanted to see that fight. Stylistic wise, I thought like, man, that's a badass fight. Oh, that's a bummer, man. With this fight, Devin, really, what do you hope to display against a guy that, like you mentioned, went 12 rounds with Tank Davis inside the ring coming up November 7th?
Speed, power, ring generalship. I want to show the world that I'm a force in the lightweight division. I want to show the world that Tank might have did something, he might have did this, but Devin Haney did this.
Yeah, I was thinking too that you want to set yourself apart in terms of how Tank did in this fight, as opposed to how you're going to do in this fight. Coming into this interview and doing research, you kind of alluded it to it right now that you want to show that you're number one at lightweight. A lot of confusion right now because of the franchise belt, Teofimo winning it, and honestly, it's no fault of yours because they made you the champion, and then last week they said that the franchise champion. I don't even know. I get confused even like going through it. What do you make, I guess, of the confusion right now with people saying Teofimo's undisputed and then you saying like, well, no, wait a second. I have the WBC belt. He has the franchise belt. There's a difference there.
Yeah, he has a franchise title. It's so confusing, like you said. Nobody really understands it. This week you can't win the franchise title. Next week you can win the franchise title. It's just so much confusion. Like it's hard to even explain. I couldn't explain it. Mauricio can't even explain it to you if you really asked him. So, but it's all part of it. I take my bumps and my bruises on like as they come, and it is what it is. The true boxing fans know that it's not my fault that Loma asked for this franchise title. If Loma didn't ask for the franchise belt or franchise title, whatever you want to call it, then it would be none of this. If it wasn't a franchise title, it would be none of this. So it is what it is.
How do you feel personally over this issue?
It's kind of frustrating. It's very frustrating because they're making it like you said for an undisputed fight or whatever, which it has a lot to do with Top Rank, not Mauricio. That's Top Rank. But it's just frustrating.
Okay, I'm going to play a little devil's advocate there on that point. Say I'm a Teofimo Lopez fan and I put on my Teofimo Lopez hat and I say, well, he beat the guy that was number one at 135 pounds. He never lost that belt that you would now have. He has to be number one. He has to be the undisputed, the number one guy at 135. What would be your response to a fan? Because I'm sure you've seen fans posting comments on your social about this stuff.
Loma was number one because he didn't face his mandatory. I was his mandatory. He got out of it by facing his mandatory, which was me, because he asked for the franchise title. So how can Loma be number one when he had a mandatory and he didn't face him?
It's a good point, Devin. It's a good point.
Could have beat me and then went to franchise, whatever he wanted to do, but he didn't. When it was time, when I was the mandatory, it was time to make the fight happen. He didn't do it.
What did you make of the fight? You posted a tweet after that said like, hey, I've been told you that Loma was whack. What did you make overall? You're smiling. What did you make overall of how the fight turned out? And were you surprised of how the fight turned out?
I was surprised with what Loma didn't do. I'll be honest, I thought Loma was going to win the fight. But I was surprised with how he waited so long to throw any punches, really. That just surprised me. That was the more thing that surprised me. I take nothing away from, Teofimo and what he did because he went in there, he got the win. You can't knock him for what Loma did, but it was a lot. It was a lot of what Loma didn't do. Teofimo was staying busy and he hit Loma with good shots, but Loma didn't do anything for 7 rounds. How can you win a fight like that?
Yeah, you can't win rounds if you don't throw punches.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Did you feel the fight was closer than what the judges had it?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. A lot
Yeah.
closer. I still thought it was a close fight, but I do think that Teofimo won.
Could you see plausibly a draw, or do you feel that no, bar none, it was close, but Teofimo won? What was that, Devin? Your audio cut out.
I think Teofimo won.
Yeah. So you went on social, posted I guess a picture of a conversation that you FaceTime with Teofimo.
Yeah.
You guys talked about everything. What you guys talk about?
I'm not gonna say what we talked about because
Come on, Devin. We want to know. The people want to know. Give us some details, bro.
we talked like men. I can say that we talked like
Yeah.
men. We had a man-to-man conversation. It wasn't too much, going on in the conversation. It wasn't too much that was said. We said a few things, but one thing I can say is that I congratulate him, and I did ask him a question about Loma.
What'd you ask him?
I'm not gonna say what I asked him, but I asked him what.
Oh man, now you got everyone curious. You ask him how hard he hits or how it was with that movement. Like, come on, let us know.
But I asked him one question.
Yeah. How long did the conversation last with you two?
It was brief. It was maybe 5 minutes. It wasn't too long.
I would think you had to have said, hey, like we have to make a fight. This is a huge fight.
Of course.
So when do you see that happening, do you feel?
We're definitely, both, interested in making the fight happen. We just got to see.
If you could picture it out, when do you think it could happen, or when would be the right time for it to happen?
If the fight happens in 2021, I think that would be the right time.
So you think next year then?
Yeah.
Wow. That's great for boxing and for boxing fans.
Yeah.
If it does happen.
It would be huge.
How do you, based on this performance, how do you feel you stack up with Teofimo at this point?
We just got to see. You can feel how you want to, but you got to just see when you get in the ring.
I spoke to Jorge Linares a few months back, and he told me a funny story, which tells me a lot about you, about the warrior mentality that you have. He told me that you just randomly showed up at his gym one time to ask him for sparring, and he was like, what the heck? And he's like, hey, I want to get this work. I want to spar with you. And he's like, all right, jump in the ring. Can you tell me a little bit about that interaction? Because to me, I thought that it was a pretty funny story.
I don't really remember too much of it, but I do remember it was something like that. It wasn't planned or anything like that. Well, somebody that I was working with knew the times that Salas and him would train and the days that he sparred. So one day they were just like, oh, well, these are the days that he spars and trains if you want to come. And one of them days I just showed up to spar and we sparred.
That's good. He told me you were 16 or 17.
Yeah, I was young.
That's great experience and knowledge, but damn, man, you're going in there with
He's right.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think he was already, maybe 2 division or 3 division world champion at that time.
But he was champion at that exact time too, so it shows you that he was on top, and I was young and I was willing to get in there and mix it up with him.
I know I don't have you for too much longer, Devin. I just want to quickly ask you just 2 more questions. One, there's been a lot of talk with the shoulder that came out with Lomachenko. What do you make about that? Do you feel it's an excuse, or do you feel it could have been a legit thing as to why he didn't do anything in the fight?
I haven't heard him say it, so I wouldn't say it's an excuse, but at the end of the day, I think he should take his wins like he takes his losses like he takes his wins, take it on the chin and, keep it pushing. At the end of the day, if you have an injury or whatever, don't make an excuse, just because you lost or anything like that. No one goes into a fight 100%. It's rare that you go into a fight with nothing hurting, no injuries, no nothing. It's just rare, so that's why I just said, just to, keep it to yourself and move forward. Which I haven't heard him say anything. So,
do you think they should rematch based off of that? And does it go any differently in a rematch?
I wouldn't say because of that they should rematch. I would say because people would want to say, see, well, if Loma let his hands go in the 7th or the 8th, 9th, and 10th round, 11th round, then what if he did it earlier? That's why I would say like that people wouldn't want to see a rematch, but not because he had an injury or anything like that. Because like I said, you don't go into, it's rare that you go into a fight 100% without nothing hurting or anything like that.
What's hurting right now with you? Are you 100%? I'm sure you got aches and pains, but you're 100%, right?
You know, I got aches and pains from just, you know, training every single day, you know, soreness. But on that night, I would be 100%. You know, I feel like I'll beat, you know, anyone in the lightweight division, you know, and that's why I feel like none of them want to face me.
And that's why I feel that you want a fight with Teofimo, because you want to settle, you know, this belt mess that's going on right now.
And I feel like they don't want to settle it. I feel like Top Rank and them don't want to settle it. They don't want to know. They don't want to know the mystery. They don't want to take the chance with me.
Why? Because they feel that it's a fight that he could lose?
Of course.
Devin, hey man, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I know you got to do your medicals and all that. It's good catching up with you. This man right here fighting on November 7th on DAZN, going up against Yuriorkis Gamboa. Once again, Devin, good seeing you, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Marcus.
Thank you so much for watching this video, and make sure to subscribe for more videos of your favorite fighters over here on Fight Up TV, and give us a follow online as well at Fight Up TV on Twitter and on Instagram. We appreciate it, guys.